Hello and welcome back. Thank you, as always, for joining me. Today, we're going to look at the idea that we see the world that we value. We see what we value. Now, as with almost all, in fact, all of the ideas in A Course in Miracles, we could simply state that and leave it and say nothing more. But because we here in the world complicate things a lot, a lot. That's an understatement. We complicate everything. So these very, very simple ideas are the very ideas that we're most prone to overlook or reject completely. We simply believe that it can't be that simple. No, we're not that powerful. It can't be that easy. It can't be so simple. No way. Way. Yes, it can be that simple, and it is. We see what we value. What does this mean? It means you are more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Want to tap into that? Excellent. Stick around. The backdrop for this conversation is chapter 16 of the text, section 6, to be exact. This section is entitled The Bridge to the Real World. And we're going to talk about that today. The visual analogy is one side of a chasm or a moat or some deep dark canyon or some sort of space into which one could fall in theory, right? Here we stand on one side of the bridge. The bridge spans the two sides. On one side, we have the world of bodies, individual self-sustaining survival units, warfare, bitterness, hatred, suffering, excess activity, and extraordinary frustration. Sound familiar? And on the other side, we have peace, the peace of God. The visual is our spanning that bridge, bridging the gap, in a manner of speaking. In truth, there's no gap, and only one side of the bridge is even real anyway. So there's really nowhere to go. But we discover that along the way. When we think that this division, this gap is real, and we've made it real to ourselves, make no mistake, this analogy is very, very helpful. And Jesus uses it here in A Course in Miracles for teaching purposes. In other words, for our learning purposes. So we're going to continue with that notion today. Here on this side of the gap, the moat, which we imagine to be filled with hostile beings, perhaps crocodiles or jagged rocks far below. So if we were to stumble and fall, we would be broken to bits and pieces and utterly destroyed on the jagged rocks, or eaten by the crocodiles that dwell down there, that haven't fed in a long time. I mean, our imagination runs amok. Quite clearly, it does. We experience this every day in our lives, where we imagine things to be much worse than they actually are. And a lot of the crap that we worry about never even happens. We've all had that experience. So, here on this side, we complicate things. We think we're individuals. We think this is us. Hmm. We think it's us. It looks like us. We value this and we seek for this in special relationships. We've been talking for the last few days about what this course refers to as a special relationship. Now, this is an exclusive relationship, simply put, exclusive, exclusivity, shutting out the all in pursuit of the all. Does that sound illogical and backwards to you? Shutting out the all in pursuit of the all. Shutting out love in pursuit of love. Shutting out God in pursuit of God. That's what we enact over and over again when we enter into these relationships that the Course refers to as special relationships. Not saying if you're in a happy romantic partnership that you have to second guess that. You do not. Give your happy romantic partnership or marriage or whatever the case may be over to the Holy Spirit. Give it over to your inner teacher for the purposes of healing the mind and watch it get even happier. That's what I did. You could do the same, and you're cordially invited to do that. Here in the world, we form all of these relationships all the time, and a romantic partnership is simply one example. We form special relationships all the time with our children. We form them in business. We form them in our political alliances, in our national alliances. If you're a sports fan, you're a fan or a supporter of a certain club. We form these special relationships all of the time, and they're exclusive. We go seeking love, and unbeknownst to us, we shut it out. We're invited to allow it to be just what it is and let it in. So that's where we appear to find ourselves on this side of the bridge. And quite naturally, we suffer. Even in our most treasured special relationships here in the world, hate enters all the time. It readily enters. And what's going on that we don't necessarily realize, and as of today, you will realize it if you didn't already, that when we seek for special relationships, we're valuing the body. The ego limits relationships to the body. It doesn't know what love is. The ego thinks it's specialness, separation, division. It would have you convinced that that's your reality. Yet deep down, you know that it is not your reality. If you did not know this on some very deep level, you wouldn't be interested in spirituality. Sometimes it's worth wondering, isn't it? How did I get into this anyway? Well, the Holy Spirit was guiding you and is guiding you right now, and you're listening. So thank you for that. That's hugely important. I really do. I mean, I say this a lot, but it's the case. It's so true. I hope you get the power and the magnitude of your choice, your present moment choice to listen to the guidance of your inner teacher. That is monumental on a level that you may not even begin to imagine. So let's come back to the you see what you value. If you value limitation, you'll see limitation. If you value bodies, that's what you'll see. Now, what would happen if you were to withdraw your value from this side of the bridge and place your value on the other side? Oh, by the way, that's the subscription button. Couldn't resist that. Click that if you haven't already. We want to think about, and I invite you to think about what would happen if you withdrew your value from this painful side of the bridge and placed your value over here. in peace, in union, in oneness, in the peace of God. You see what you value. What do you value? This is a choice. You might readily protest that no, you have no choice. I have no choice. There's no way. Can't be that simple. Again, the simplest ideas are the ones we're most apt to overlook. It is, in fact, a choice. And you get to make that choice right now. And who cares how many times you've chosen the ego's frustration, separation, and pain? Who cares? I mean, really, you have the opportunity to choose yet again right now. All too often, and you know this to be true, we spend our time circling over here, beating ourselves up for our supposed shortcomings, for all of the times where we judged somebody, where we lashed out in hatred, where we chose fear, where we got a glimpse of the light and ran away from it, terrified, shrieking, and wanting to hide, right? And then guilt enters into the picture, and we just continue to recycle that guilt over and over until such time as we make a decision that we want the peace of God and nothing else. Well, guess what? There is nothing else. This, a dream. It feels real. We've made it real. The power here that I continue to refer to is the power to unmake this. With the simple yet extraordinary power of decision that you have right now in the present moment, you can begin, as much as you're willing right now, to undo the world. I lose the world from all I thought it was. That's an idea from the workbook for students. In other words, I let go of all my preconceived notions about who, what, and where I am because I actually know who, what, and where I am. And it's not on spinning ball of rock, encased in a semi-permeable membrane that we call skin, huddled inside this frail little thing that doesn't last. It's not where I am. And I know it. Hmm. Allow yourself to go there. I invite you to do that. And of course, fear will arise. Really, it will. This is the spiritual path, and this course is helping us to turn our perception right side up. We don't see things as they are. We think this is real. It's not real. This is real. And we are engaged, however far you're willing to allow yourself to be led by your inner teacher today in the process of turning our perception right side up. When we do, truth dawns of itself. That's awakening, enlightenment. First, we must clarify our perception. How do we do that? We do so under the guidance of our inner teacher. We accept what this course refers to as atonement for ourselves. In other words, we accept the guidance and the correction of our inner teacher. We don't see things the way they are. We accept the correction of a mistake in perception. We allow our inner teacher to guide us and to show us. And every moment of every day, we choose the peace of God. We choose love instead of fear. Really, it is that simple. And yes, you are that powerful. We have made this world, it's imaginary. Of course, we weren't taught that in school. And when we go out and walk around on it, it feels solid enough. I mean, it does. You fall down, you might hurt yourself. We've made it so. We have the power to unmake it. You have more power than you could possibly imagine. And it's okay to be afraid of it. We all have been. or this conversation would not be happening. It, in fact, would not be necessary at all. So, what we do is we forgive, we get in touch with the Holy Spirit, our inner teacher, and we allow him to guide us. We allow ourselves to be led along the path as far as we're willing to go on a given day, whatever that looks like. And then we get up tomorrow and we do it all again. I know, right? Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. We tend to get what we call bored in this life. We get afraid, in other words, of truth. Well, if you feel like you're done running, then you're in the right place. Doesn't mean that the temptation to run and hide isn't going to come up. It may be coming up for you right now. Who knows? Who knows what the message of the Holy Spirit is going to provoke or turn up in your mind? I certainly don't know. All variety of reactions to the simplicity and truth of this message are possible, from abject denial to total acceptance and everything that appears in between. So, wherever you appear to find yourself, know that when you experience, not if, when you experience resistance on the path, it is the ego. All resistance stems from our belief that we're individuals, from our adherence to that belief. We want it to be true. What if you want truth to be true, which it is? Again, what if you withdrew your value from this painful side of the bridge and began to cross because you value what's on the other side? What if value peace, value love, value your brother for who and what he is, really is? So you value yourself because the two of you are not two. You are not separate. There is no separation of any kind. A few minutes ago, we referenced the atonement, which we're invited to accept for ourselves, the correction of our inner teacher. Central to this is the acknowledgement that the separation never occurred. You've never been separate from your brother, and guess what? You've never been separate from God. Deep down, you know, I know, you know, we all do. We can deny it. We can. We can deny it all we want. And in fact, we have, or this conversation would not appear to be happening. But we can render conversations like these completely useless should we choose to practice. Should we choose to cross the bridge under the guidance of our inner teacher, we'd recognize that the only value this thing has is bringing our brothers to the bridge with us, there to be released. Yes, that is the value of this communication mechanism, which is not our home, is to bring our brothers to the bridge with us, together with us, there to be released. The body has great use to the Holy Spirit. Of itself, it is absolutely nothing. But here, while we take it to be reality, this form is one that we can all relate to. It looks like a human being. It looks like a middle-aged man, in fact, from Arizona in the southwestern United States, floating out there in North America, in this collection of landmass that's always changing and moves around and stuff. That's what it looks like. What's really talking to you is your inner teacher. When something lands for you and connects, count on the fact that it's the Holy Spirit. Really. This is nothing. However, it's a form that we can relate to without being plunged into existential dread. It looks familiar. This language is familiar to you, whether it's your first language or not. It's one of those that's very commonly spoken here on Spinning Ball of Rock. There's absolutely no mistake about that. And God does not choose his channels wrongly. He does not choose you wrongly. Remember, the value in the physical body is in giving it over to the Holy Spirit, like your special relationships, for the purposes of healing the mind, for the purpose of whatever it looks like, and He'll tell you what it looks like, bringing your brothers to the bridge with you, there to be released. It doesn't mean you have to turn on a camera and microphone and broadcast to an international audience. That's my own personal directive. Yours can look completely different, and probably it does. It doesn't matter. There are people out there that are meant to hear the Holy Spirit through you. They're meant to find you. You will teach them and learn from them. Teaching and learning are exactly the same thing. There's that very common and very true adage, no one ever learns as much as the teacher. Yeah, to teach and to learn are exactly the same thing. There are people out there that you're intended to work with. So surely you wouldn't leave them dangling, right? Lots of food for thought. Well, this course is good for that, and you deserve nothing less. After all, haven't you spun around on this side of the bridge long enough? I mean, at some point, we all get sick of it and want off the hamster wheel. I want to start crossing to the other side. Yeah. Well, let's all make that journey today. I thank you very much for joining me. And any questions or comments that you may have here are indeed most welcome. This is a safe space to comment and ask questions if you've got them. Now, if you're newer to A Course in Miracles, it can seem like a lot. I get that. It's a big, thick book. It's rather imposing looking when bound, but you can just take as much as you're able or willing to take in a given day. It's a self study curriculum, and questions are inevitable. So if you've got them, please feel welcome to leave them here. And if you have not yet subscribed, again, that's the prompt in the corner of your screens. Just go ahead and click that and join us. This community is international, it's growing, and I really welcome all of you. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. And above all, thank you for your dedication and commitment to your spiritual practice, which, bar none, is the highest, best offering you can ever make anyone, anytime. It really is. So I thank you for that, and I'll talk to you soon.